Your phone's been charging for an hour. You pick it up, dead. You forgot to flip the switch. You call her, straight to voicemail, again. You send a message, 1 tick, 2 ticks, read, nothing. And just like that feeling, that instant heat rising in your chest, that are you actually serious right now? Sound familiar? These aren't big moments, no disaster, no emergency, just a dead phone, an unanswered call, a message left on read. And yet, your body reacted like something mattered, like a wire got touched. And people around you have probably said it before, haven't they? You're too sensitive. Why do you always overreact? It's not that deep. And after years of hearing that, a quiet little question starts to live in the back of your mind. What is wrong with me? Here's what I need you to hear right now, before we go any further. Nothing is wrong with you. In fact, and I want you to really sit with this, psychology suggests that people who experience anger quickly and intensely are often wired with traits that most people spend their entire lives trying to develop. Traits like deep empathy, high intelligence, a finely tuned moral compass, and a capacity to care so deeply about the world that your nervous system simply refuses to be numb to it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see yourself very differently. Let's start at the beginning, because this matters. The world has told you a story about anger, that it's a character flaw, a weakness, a sign of poor emotional control. But that story is incomplete, and honestly, it's a little lazy. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. When you encounter a situation that feels unjust, threatening, or just plain wrong, your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, fires a signal. Fast. We're talking milliseconds. Before your rational mind has even loaded up, your body is already responding. Heart rate up, adrenaline moving. This is called the amygdala hijack, a term coined by psychologist Daniel Goleman, and it happens to everyone. But here's what's different about you. Research in personality psychology points to something called emotional sensitivity, and it's directly correlated with how quickly and strongly a person registers emotional stimuli. People with high emotional sensitivity don't process the world on a 5-second delay. They process it immediately, fully, without a buffer. And here's the thing about that. The same neurological wiring that makes you flare up when something feels wrong, it's the exact same wiring that makes you feel joy more vividly, love more deeply, and detect danger, social or physical, long before anyone else in the room even notices something is off. Your nervous system is not broken. It is, in the most literal sense, more awake than average. Think of it this way. Most people walk through the world with the emotional equivalent of noise-canceling headphones on, dulled down, protected. But you're hearing everything, every frequency, every sharp edge, and every beautiful note. And yes, that means the dissonance hits harder too. That's not a malfunction, that's a feature. And now let's talk about what that actually gives you. Trait number 1, you have a razor-sharp sense of justice. Here's something that almost no one talks about when it comes to people who anger quickly. In most cases, not all, but most, the anger isn't random. It's not just noise. There is almost always a reason underneath it. And that reason, when you look closely, usually comes down to one thing. Something felt unfair. Someone was dismissive. Someone broke a promise. Someone was treated as if they didn't matter. And your nervous system, before your brain could even form a sentence about it, had already registered the injustice and sounded the alarm. Psychologists who study moral development have found that individuals with a highly reactive emotional system tend to score significantly higher in what's called moral sensitivity, the ability to quickly detect when a value has been violated. In plain terms, you don't just notice injustice, you feel it in your body. That is a rare and valuable thing. In a workplace, this makes you the person who catches toxic dynamics early. In relationships, it makes you the one who can tell when something is genuinely wrong, not just on the surface, but underneath. In the wider world, some of the most committed advocates, leaders, and changemakers in history weren't the calm, composed ones. They were the ones who got angry first, because they cared first. Your anger is often love with nowhere to go yet. Trait number 2, you are extremely high in empathy. This one surprises people because we often think of empathy and anger as opposites, but the research tells a different story. Studies on empathic individuals consistently show that people who are highly attuned to the emotions of others are also more likely to experience what's called empathic anger, which is anger felt on behalf of someone else. You see a colleague being talked over in a meeting. You watch someone being publicly embarrassed. You hear about something terrible happening to someone you love, and the anger rises immediately, not for yourself, but for them. That's not a short fuse. That's a deeply wired sense of human connection. The reason this happens is actually beautifully elegant. When you have high empathy, your brain essentially mirrors the emotional experience of others. Their pain registers in your nervous system almost as if it were your own. And when your brain perceives that you are being threatened or hurt, it activates the same protective anger response it always would. You are not overreacting. You are responding to a threat. It just happens to be a threat to someone else's dignity. People like you are the ones who notice when a friend has gone quiet. The ones who say, "Are you okay?" when everyone else walks past. The ones who feel a film, a song, a conversation, really feel it, long after it's over. That depth is not a liability. It is a profound human gift. Trait number 3, you are highly intelligent and mentally fast. Here's a finding from psychology that I want you to sit with for a moment. Research exploring the relationship between cognitive processing speed and emotional reactivity has found a consistent pattern. People who have faster neural processing, meaning their brains simply work quicker than average, also tend to have faster emotional responses. Why? Because everything is faster. Perception, pattern recognition, analysis, all of it. When you walk into a room, your brain has already scanned for inconsistencies, picked up on the subtle tension between two people, and calculated 17 possible outcomes before most people have finished reading the room. And here's the downside of that gift, the catch that no one explains to you. When your mind is that fast, things that don't add up feel like an emergency. When someone says one thing and means another, you catch it. When a situation is heading in a bad direction, you see it. When something is inefficient, illogical, or just plainly wrong, you can't pretend not to notice. And the frustration? That frustration is intelligence meeting resistance. It's your brilliant, fast-moving mind crashing into a world that hasn't caught up yet. This is why highly intelligent people, particularly those with what researchers call a low frustration tolerance for incompetence, often appear impatient or quick to anger in environments that move slowly, that repeat mistakes, or that fail to meet the standard they can so clearly envision. It's not arrogance. It's the quiet agony of seeing exactly how things could be and watching them fall short.